but he's a very nice gentleman, and he's going to come to the White House very shortly, within the next week or less.
U.S. President Donald Trump confirming Prime Minister Carney will be visiting the White House soon. Trump says he thinks Carney will have a, quote, great relationship with him. The two leaders have previously agreed the countries will begin negotiations on a new economic and security arrangement. The Prime Minister's office has yet to comment on Trump's timeline for that visit. For more on this, we're now joined by Rachel Notley. She is a member of Canada-U.S. Relations Council, a former Premier of Alberta and a former leader of the Alberta NDP party, and she's joining us today from Edmonton. Very good to speak with you. Thanks for your time.
Good to be here.
So there's a lot that we want to cover. There's a lot of different roles that you have played, but I need to start by first asking you about U.S. President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Mark Carney. They are scheduled to meet, we understand, next week at the White House. What should be on Carney's agenda going into this meeting? How should he hold himself or be around Donald Trump, do you think?
Well, I think, I think Mr. Carney or Prime Minister Carney has a lot of experience in these rooms, but I think I think a calm, steady hand is the way to go. I think that we should be looking to find a process that sort of sets out some guardrails and turns the heat down on some of the rhetoric. I don't think that Canada should be rushing to sign any deals. I think that we should be calm and careful, and this at the same time continue the good work of building and maintaining the cross-border relationships we have with a whole range of people across the U.S.
Should we see this as encouraging that this meeting is happening as soon as next week, or should we read anything into it?
No, I think it's necessary, obviously. This is a critically impactful conversation that's happening right now, even where, the rules of the game change depending on, what day of the week it is. The uncertainty itself is, as we know, a problem. So I think that the sooner we can start to engage in dialogue, the better. But at the same time, I don't think that people should be expecting or even seeking fast deals or early deals. I think that, this is complicated and complex, and I think that we should take our time. We're one of many players that the U.S. is dealing with right now, and I don't know that we need to be first in line. And I also think that we should be looking at ways to move towards a more trilateral relationship as well, going back to that model.
As I said off the top, there's many reasons to want to talk to you today. So let's get to the NDP. The federal party started off this federal election campaign. They had 24 seats. They now hold 7. I'm sure you've given some thought to what went wrong here.
Well, I think a lot of people have given thought to what went wrong. I think, at the outset, several months and years ago, the federal NDP made a decision to put governance over politics and to put providing results to Canadians and for Canadians over quick political wins. And they did that in service of ensuring the biggest expansion to our public health care that we've seen in generations through the expansion of both the dental care and the beginnings of pharmacare. So that was done. But we also know, and it was clear at the time, that there was a political price to be paid, and that's very clear. And I think the cost of that, I think that price itself went up, of course, considerably when the Trump issue began to reshape the political landscape so dramatically in the way it did just 2 short months ago.
So let me ask you then, we have a Liberal government, but it is a minority. They're going to need help from someone. And what you've just said there is that the help that the NDP essentially has provided to the Liberals, that working with them, it worked against them come the election. So what's your advice then to those now 7 sitting MPs in terms of cooperating with the Liberals?
Well, I think, listen, being in the position they're in, they do have leverage. But at the same time, I think that they need to be both strategic but they also need to give themselves time to assess their own mandate. They're going to be looking at a leadership race. I don't think that the caucus itself can sort of embrace any long-term arrangements that outlive the outcome of a leadership race, because obviously whoever is the leader needs to be determinative in what happens. I think that in the short term, the issues that ought to be front and center, which I'm sure are ensuring that the Liberals keep their promises around dental care and around the pharmacare expansion. I know here in Alberta, the provincial government's done everything it can to delay and interfere with delivering that material benefit to Albertans, and so we need to make sure that the Liberal government moves on that. And then I think in the longer term, I believe that what they will likely do and should do is focus on standing up for working people, standing up for people who are struggling to make ends meet. We are going to go into economically turbulent times, and families who are struggling right now need a voice that is not rhetorically in their corner, but is in fact in their corner. And the fact is that's the NDP. It's always been the NDP, and that's going to be a critical role for that caucus to play in this next Parliament.
Need just a quick answer to this one, but they don't have a party leader. Mstein has stepped down. I don't know what's on your plate right now. Any thoughts to that?
Well, I happen to have the incredible privilege of living in the riding of Heather McPherson, who was the lone Alberta NDP and MP who managed to withstand a dramatic drop in the party's fortunes and still win a very comfortable win the other night. So I think Heather is somebody to keep an eye on.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says the Liberals have demeaned her province, calling on Carney to reset the relationship between Ottawa and Alberta with meaningful action. The province remained solidly conservative in the election, with the same result in Saskatchewan. Okay, and let's continue part two of our interview with Rachel Notley, a member of the Canada-U.S. Relations Council, a former Premier of Alberta, former leader of the Alberta NDP Party, joining us once again from Edmonton. Once again, thank you for your time. And let's now get into Western Canada. There's been increasing discussion about Western Canada. Let's talk about specifically Alberta, I think, potentially wanting to separate from the rest of the country. I'm sure you don't like to hear that kind of word, but given the results of the federal election, is that talk going to grow louder, do you think?
I think well, let me start by saying that Western Canada, and that includes, of course, Alberta, there are legitimate concerns on the part of Albertans and other and people in other Western Canadian provinces in terms of ensuring that we have the most thoughtful, forward-looking, but also ambitious set of opportunities that we can for our economic growth. And so there are legitimate issues that need to be addressed here. And so I don't want to negate that in any way. Indeed, back when we were in government, we also contested some of the legislative initiatives taken by the Trudeau government around project development and energy project development. And so there is substance there. That being said, what we are hearing out of Alberta right now, and in particular through the voice of Danielle Smith, is not that. What we are hearing there is a great deal of political rhetoric. I would not equate the percentage support that the CPC received in this federal government with the base support of the UCP sort of extremist separatist groups that our premier is fond of channeling. That's an entirely different political dynamic that's underway there. That's her trying to hold on to her leadership, and it does not reflect the vast majority of Albertans.
Well, she uses the word reset the Ottawa-Alberta relationship, and right off the top of the campaign, his first stop, Mark Carney promised a new clean energy era. Is that something that, how do you see that? Is that something that potentially helps reset things?
I think that I've always believed that when it comes to promoting and enhancing the opportunities for our oil and gas industry, that these are not diametrically opposed issues. That to grow our market and to grow acceptance and continued support for the industry, we need to develop that product responsibly. And I think that there are many players within the energy industry who understand that. And I think it was through that frame, for instance, that we got the first pipeline to Tidewater built in over 50 years. It was through that framework that was done. And by the way, that pipeline now contributes billions and billions of dollars a year to the Canadian economy and to the Alberta economy, and in fact to the UCP government's specific coffers. So, you know, there is that record there. What I will say, though, is that I'm concerned that Danielle Smith is going to see this as a political opportunity that is very much focused on her own political bottom line, not on jobs, not on affordability, not on supporting Albertans, certainly not on supporting Canada's overall position in the world as an energy provider. So we're going to have to make sure that a variety of voices are heard from Alberta, and that the federal government sorts through what is Danielle Smith's self-serving political rhetoric and what is genuinely thoughtful advocacy on behalf of the oil and gas industry, which does need to be heard and acted on by the federal government.
Well, and to that, I was going to ask you, in dealing with Danielle Smith as Premier, no matter how long that may last, what advice do you have to Mark Carney in terms of setting a tone for the future relationship between Ottawa and Alberta? I mean, he has used the word pipelines. We've heard it a lot. Does he have to make good on that in order to make Alberta happy, or what kind of tone can he set?
Well, I think certainly almost all of certainly when I think about, for instance, the Trade Council and Prime Minister Carney was on that briefly, I think there's a lot of consensus that we need to expand our opportunity to trade our oil and gas resources to other markets. And that does involve enhancing both our energy security to the east and potentially expanding our ability to ship to other markets from the west. And so I take him at his word on that he is interested in moving on that. And so I hope that we will see some acknowledgement that is positive and an effort by the provincial government to work alongside with that. I'm not 100% sure that we will see it, though. I think we may well be in a position now where there is nothing that the federal government can do that will satisfy Danielle Smith, because she's not actually looking to build the industry, grow the economy, and help Albertans. She is, as I said, looking to grow her own political bottom line. But my hope is that those who are concerned about building our economy across the country, in Alberta, across Western Canada, all the things, that we will be able to see some good progress through the new government. Federally.
That is Rachel Notley, member of the Canada-U.S. Relations Council, also a former Premier of Alberta and a former Alberta NDP leader, a woman who has and continues to wear many hats. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.